This Ag News Update brought to you by American Implement, indebted to the past, committed to the future. In a moment, Dr. Roger McEowen.
Wolfter Construction and Irrigation has been around a long time, and a lot of folks have trusted them to design, build, and service all sizes of commercial and on-farm storage for grain and equipment. Wolfter is also known for their outstanding irrigation division, where they stock a complete selection of nozzles, regulators, drops, gear drives, electrical, and structure components. Looking for an electric motor? Wolfter has a large selection in single and three-phase. Next time, reach out to the pros who have decades of experience at taking care of business the right way. Wolfter Construction and Irrigation. When you've had a best friend for over 50 years, you develop a trust. And the Scott Co-op has been a trusted rural friend since 1957. A co-op keeps money in the area, doing business for and with their members. And that helps keep their hometown thriving with keeping money in the community. Scott Co-op is not just an elevator. It's the rural way of doing business. So, when you see an elevator, remember your friends at Scott Co-op.
Time now for another version of Ag in the Courtroom, and joining us, Dr. Roger McEowen, who is an agriculture law and a tax professor at the Washburn School of Law in Topeka. Dr. McEowen, always great to catch up with you.
Good to be with you, Ken. It's I always enjoy our talks that we have, and I hope people find them beneficial.
Okay, the couple topics we want to hit this month, very interesting. One that's been in the news, and we're all kind of understanding it. We all understand that the Dean Foods, the big dairy conglomerate, filed bankruptcy, but many farmers started getting notices that they had contracts they needed to pay regardless if they had a place to deliver their product. This sounds very strange, but there is things in the law that you may have to proceed.
Well, yeah, dairy farmers that receive these letters do have to respond, and I want to make sure we're clear on that. These are not entirely bogus. They may not be entirely legitimate, but they're not something just to throw in the trash. You have to respond to it. What this involves, Ken, is a specific provision in the bankruptcy code that basically says if you did business with a debtor or with another business that then subsequently files bankruptcy, and you had business transactions with them, you got paid by them within 90 days of them filing bankruptcy, that the preferential payment rule allows the bankruptcy trustee, once that company files bankruptcy, to reach back and try to claw all those monies back that the debtor paid within 90 days of filing. And so that's what these demand letters from the law firm representing the bankruptcy trustee are all about. They're saying, well, you sold milk to Dean Foods within 90 days of them filing bankruptcy, well, you need to pay that back. And that could be several $1,000s worth. And so it's a big deal to these dairy farmers.
Is this something that's happened in other agriculture companies that, if it has, it's been a long time since I remember anything maybe of this significance?
Yeah, we went through this with the Verasun bankruptcy about a decade ago. Now, that really didn't touch Kansas too much. That was in Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota. They had a plant or two in Nebraska. But that ethanol bankruptcy with respect to Verasun was a big deal. And the letters went out to corn farmers then saying, you sold corn to Verasun within 90 days, you got to pay the proceeds back of that sale. Now, I would say this. They can do that. There is a provision in the bankruptcy code that allows the trustee to do that. However, I think just about all of the dairy farmers have a legitimate defense, and it's known as the ordinary course of business defense. In other words, if you sold milk to Verasun in that 90-day preferential period before they filed bankruptcy, but it was in your normal course of doing business. You know, they buy milk every 2 weeks. So they come out and pick up milk, and you get a milk check, and you've got your stubs and your receipts and all of that. You need to have your attorney put a letter responding to the Dean Foods letter. You need to have your attorney put a letter together showing, you know, we do business. My client does business with them. It's in the ordinary course of business. It was a contemporaneous exchange of value. Go away. And I think that that's the case. In fact, I don't think these letters really should have gone out just carte blanche Dean Foods needed to do their research and pinpoint whether there were actually any dairy farmers that didn't sell milk in the ordinary course of business. I think the vast majority, if not all, of the dairy farmers can successfully assert that defense. But the point is, if you don't assert that defense, you will get sued, and that may be if less than 25,000 is in controversy, you can get sued in your home jurisdiction. But you don't want to go through that. So you need to have competent bankruptcy counsel put a response letter back responding to the trustee.
Dr. Roger McEowen is an agriculture law and taxation professor at the Washburn School of Law in Topeka. Let's take a break. Back with more in just a moment.
The cost of everything has gone up dramatically over the last 75 years. With one exception: keeping electricity affordable.
Wheatland Electric, delivering energy for life, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
S&S Trailer Sales, with 2 locations in Ness City, Kansas, is where everybody goes to buy or rent trailers. They feature the all-new, all-aluminum Mauer grain trailer with all of the electric options, the easy-to-load detached trailers, and a huge stock of header trailers. At the West location, you'll find bumper poles, goosenecks, and oilfield specialty trailers, along with flat and utility beds for pickups. S&S Trailer Sales in Ness City and on the web, but remember, you do have to spell out the "and."
And joining us is Dr. Roger McEowen. It is Ag in the Courtroom, and he is a agriculture law and taxation professor at the Washburn School of Law. And Dr. McEowen, this second topic we want to talk about is one that kind of have a scratch in our head. You could, get a lifetime ban of owning a firearm if you file a tax return with a false statement? Tell us that sounds very odd.
That is what the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said in a split opinion just a couple days before Thanksgiving. And yeah, what they said was, well, you commit a felony if you put a false statement on a tax return, and which this individual did, and it potentially carries a prison sentence. And the Third Circuit says, well, technically you fall into the category of a felon, and Congress has said that felons can't own firearms, and that goes for life. And the point of this one, and the dissent was pretty strong. It was a Trump judge that dissented in this one, said, look, a categorical categorization of all felonies, stripping someone of an individual fundamental constitutional right, such as the right to own a firearm, which it's been defined as an individual fundamental right since the Heller case in the Supreme Court a few years ago, said you just can't strip that for life upon the commission of a nonviolent first offense felony that didn't actually serve, the person didn't actually serve any prison time. They just had to pay a hefty fine, had to, got some home probation, and in-home probation and confinement and probation for a while, and then pay the taxes back plus a penalty. And it's this one, I think you can put a stamp on this, call FedEx and pick up the case and just take it to the Supreme Court, because that's where this one's going to go. I do not think this will stand at the Supreme Court. Justice Barrett and Justice Kavanaugh have, in other cases, non-Supreme Court cases before they joined the Supreme Court, decided cases very similar to the rationale that the dissent used in this case. So if they can convince 2 of their other colleagues on the court to take the case, I don't think that'll be a problem. The Supreme Court will take this case, and I would anticipate it'll probably be a 5-4 opinion, reversing what the Circuit did. But that's just my guess at this point in time. But as it stands, yeah, it's a weird one where the federal court said, you commit a felony, we don't care whether it's nonviolent or not. Every felony is defined by the Congress as being serious, and it strips you of your gun rights. Yeah, I think when we get to the end of this, I don't think that's going to be the ultimate result.
If folks want to learn more about these things we've talked about, other cases that you write and blog about, how can they do that?
Well, what we talked about today are a couple of blog articles on my blog. You can go to washburnlaw.edu/WALTR, and on the homepage down the left-hand side, you can find Agricultural Law and Taxation blog, the link to it. Just click on that link. That'll take you to the actual blog. If you want an email alert when I add something, which is about 130 times a year, there's a technical article on these various topics. There is back on the homepage of my website there, next to where you can find the link for the blog, there's an email alert that you can sign up for. And so if you see a topic, you get the alert. You'll see kind of a header in the email. If that looks interesting to you, you can read it. If not, there's also a delete button. You can just move on.
All right. Well, as always, we appreciate the insights of what you're following and hopefully helping us, getting us better informed of what's going on with agriculture in the courtroom. So thanks a lot, and we'll talk with you again early next year already.
Yeah, and we'll probably summarize some of the big developments of 2020, and hopefully some good things to talk about out of 2020 instead of just all bad stuff. But I really appreciate it. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks. Dr. Roger McEowen, who is a ag law specialist and a tax professor at the Washburn School of Law here in Topeka, has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
Would you like to see something done about high gas prices and low unemployment? Western Plains Energy in Campus, Kansas is doing something about it. They're a proud part of Growth Energy, America's ethanol supporters, and they employ 38 people and will be adding more following the expansion. Ethanol fuel not only reduces the cost of regular gasoline, it's good for the environment and keeps money right here in the United States while supporting local rural jobs. Western Plains Energy, doing something for the future.
1030 KBUF has agriculture programming every day starting a little bit after 6 o'clock. A whole host of folks bring you ag information, from Tony St. James, Max Armstrong, Daryl Anderson, Andrew McCrae, and myself, Ken Rogers. We'll have market updates, ag information throughout the day, every day that you need to make your operation as successful as possible. You can also be social with us on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget, you can listen to any Southwest broadcasting station online at westernkansasnews.com. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching.